Welcome to Drive-By Reviews, where today we're taking a look at the Sigma 56mm F1.4 EF-M lens to round out the Sigma trio on reviews on the channel. Now what's exciting about this lens, or a couple things that are exciting about this lens, is one, its focal length at 56mm is ideal on the EF-M mount system for portrait photography, and two, this lens is known to be extremely sharp when it comes to competing camera options out there on the market. So the questions we're going to answer today is it just as sharp when it comes to the EF-M mount system? How does that focal length work out when it comes to portrait photography and different types of photography outdoors, landscape, indoors, low light? And how well does it work when it comes to image stabilization, autofocusing, and how it interacts in video, especially when it comes to low light situations with that nice, fast f1.4? Let's find all that and more today, but start off taking a look first at the lens design itself. Here we go. In my experience, Sigma has always done a great job when it comes to build quality on its lenses, and this 56mm is no exception. With a nice combination in metallic and rubberized plastic components, it sits sturdy in the hand and also nice and snugly under your camera body with a metallic mount on the back. And beyond that, I always appreciate that Sigma includes with their lenses a lens hood, and not just a cheap old lens hood either. It's got some nice etchings of the lens details on the hood so you remember which lens it's for. It's got nice rubberized plastic it's comprised of, and it has a good, nice, snug locking motion when you put it on the lens. Just those extra details that let you know they put some TLC into when they were making their lens and hood. Now keep in mind, it is not weatherproof, but then again, neither is the M50 body or the M6 Mark II, but it's something to keep in mind in case you're going to be taking it outdoors quite often. It's also quite compact, which is fantastic, coming with a diameter of 2.62 inches, although that does lead to an unusual filter size of 55mm. So something to keep in mind in case you might have to go out and buy a whole new set of filters for this lens. Its length is 2.34 inches, bringing it to a nice light weight of 9.9 ounces. And this is in comparison to the Canon 32mm native lens. And as you can see, it's pretty comparable in size. And that's a fantastic thing to know. Both pretty much equally as compact and easy to take along with you. As far as controls, there's only really one, this nice large manual focus ring made of rubberized plastic that has a nice graded resistance to it and feels like it's going to work quite well when it comes to use in the field. But of course, we're all curious to see how sharp are those photos going to be when we're shooting out of this lens, and how thin is that depth of field when we're going to shoot wide open f1.4. Let's find out all that and more right now. Here we go. Well, the trifecta. Lightweight, compact, and super fast when it comes to autofocusing and with its available aperture speeds. And as promised, it is tech sharp. Take a look at some of these photos that I'm not going to color grade this time, so you can take a look and see for yourself what it looks like coming straight out of the camera. I was super impressed throughout testing. And not only that, I was a bit concerned when it came to chromatic aberration when shooting into a bright backdrop, because its sister lens, the 30mm, which I'm using right now to record this video, has some pretty tremendous purple fringing when you're shooting wide open at f1.4. But the 56mm, not a problem on this lens, even when shooting wide open. In a bit here, we will take a look at a more controlled environment as far as image quality when it comes to this lens. But nonetheless, super impressed when shooting into uncontrolled environments. When it comes to the focal length, it is pretty much ideal when it comes to portrait photography, making this the go-to lens. If you're going to be shooting portraits, people at events, we're talking weddings, music events, and so on, it's the lens to go and get every time, making it really tough for me because this pretty much is going to be sticking in my pack from now on. All right, here we have some image quality testing shooting into this focus chart. And what's nice about this is it's going to show us the depth of field for every aperture setting that we're going to shoot in. Now, right now we're starting off at f1.4, wide open. You can see that nice creamy bokeh in the background. And I focused on 0 here, and you can see the depth of field is less than an inch, right? Maybe like 0.75 inches, right about there. It starts going out of focus, right? And pretty darn good clarity overall, although you're going to see this improve from here. You know, there's a little bit of contrast issue coming through here. You can kind of see that because, believe it or not, this whole thing is actually white and black. There's no variance in whiteness on this chart. This is a shadow though, but this is all the same, right? Because the light's hitting that about the same. But then we come on over here on the side, what's nice to see is it's pretty much the same performance on the edge of the image as it is in the very middle. And that's great. It just shows the quality level of this lens. Okay, but let's go up to f2. You're gonna see that shift in the background there. This, by the way, is 33 inches away from the lens to the front of the chart here. To give you kind of an idea of the distance between the camera and the subject. Okay, you can see the depth of field shift slightly here. Just a little bit deeper there. Quality is about the same, slightly better, and it maintains that same quality throughout the edge of the image, which is great. We're going to see a big difference here as we jump to f4, especially in the background. Look at that. Here's 1.4, f4. That's going to make or break a portrait, isn't it? All right, so jumping on in here, well, at least if you want to have subject separation from the background. All right, so taking a look, that really blew up the depth of field to a little, maybe 2 inches or so. And you can see that quality difference really start to show up, right? Much sharper overall, good contrast throughout the image. Let's go to ideal, jump over to f8. It's gonna put most of this in focus. Okay, no, maybe like 4.5 inches, about 4 inches, okay. Yeah, even sharper, right? Even better overall. This is looking great. Come on over here. Same thing on the edge. It's looking really sharp throughout. Let's go all the way to f16, right? You can see that background, f1.4, f16, really deep depth of field. You're gonna see this entire thing in focus for the most part, but can you see that? All right? It's getting soft again, isn't it? And not the greatest contrast again. But again, still uniform throughout the image, which is great. And as you saw in some of those photos, if you're paying attention to the portrait photos, or if you pause there, you probably saw that this difference in sharpness from 1.4 to say f4 wasn't an issue when it came to portrait photography. It looks phenomenal, despite that little bit of a drop off in sharpness when you go wide open. But you know, you can always go up a couple stops if you want to, but you're definitely gonna lose a bit of that subject isolation, that nice creamy bokeh you get when you're wide open f1.4. Now, as I mentioned earlier with this photo, this plant, the chromatic aberration is not an issue when it comes to this lens, but when it's wide open at f1.4, if you really zoom in, you can see some. So if you're looking straight at this and you got a good eye, you're gonna see what I'm talking about, but let's zoom in and show you. Probably the most significant portion of this is right here on this. You get some purple there. You're also gonna see very subtle amounts here on the leaf, but it's pretty much a non-issue. I mean, if you're looking at this photo in its composition, even if you cropped in, you're not gonna see a bunch of odd colors jumping off of these leaves. But watch this. We jump up to f2, it's pretty much gone, right? That's all it took. Gone, gone, gone at f2. And of course, that's gonna maintain throughout here as we go up to f4, right? Look at that. I'll give it a second to load the whole image. Completely eliminated by f4, f8. It's gonna be the same story. Looking good. Yeah, no purple fringing, no issues at all when it comes to the color on the edges right by that bright backdrop. This is sunlight coming straight through a window behind this plant. Can you tell if it's real or fake? If it's got a purple halo, maybe it's fake. But there you go. That's just a quick glimpse at chromatic aberration, considering that, you know, the bro of this lens is the Sigma 30mm, which does have a significant amount of chromatic aberration when it comes to shooting wide open especially. But here you go, 56mm, non-issue. Well, when it comes to recording video with the 56mm, it's got that nice, fast autofocusing that's quite accurate. Very similar to the Sigma 30mm in speed and accuracy. As you can see here, we're on face tracking. Boom to the background, catches my face, and it's boom onto the face. And of course, with that nice, fast aperture speed available, you also got some nice subject separation from the background. And of course, beautiful look when you're shooting in a low light situation. This is dawn, for example, and looks pretty good right now. But you also got to keep in mind that with that focal length and the field of view, you've got to keep your subject a bit away from the camera to get a good shot. So this is about 20 or so feet away from the camera. And as I approach the camera, you're going to see there's just not a lot of room for me in the frame. Also keep in mind that with that focal length, you're going to have to be pretty steady when you pick up your camera and move it, because with that field of view, the movement's going to be that much more exaggerated. Now, I'm actually pretty impressed with this. This is without image stabilization on, so you can get smoother than that if you want to. But just keep in mind with that field of view, you're going to have to be careful as the cameraman if you're going to move it with your hands. Now, personally, I see myself using this lens more for photography than for video, especially with my opinion on how well it works for portrait photography. But I could see myself using this in some situations if I'm going to be in a tripoded position. But beyond that, I think it's a stellar lens no matter what the use is going to be, as long as this is a field of view and the focal length you're looking for, as it's a sharp lens that works extremely well when it comes to autofocusing and accuracy. Well, there you go. That's everything for the Sigma 56mm. Let me know what you think about the photos and the video. What do you think of this lens, and what lens maybe you want to see it compared to in the future? Let me know. Don't forget to comment down below. If you're interested in getting this lens for yourself, don't forget I'm going to post links down in the description and first comment below so you can check out the lens for yourself. Who knows, maybe buy it for yourself as well. Highly recommended. Can't see myself not having this in my pack in the near future. It's just a fantastic lens option. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in next time on the next DVR.